This program is brought to you by Emory University.
In the short run, mediators tend to do really well in bringing about negotiating settlements. But in the long run, the peace agreements that mediators tend to produce tend to be more fragile. That is, when we're talking 5 to 10 years out, those peace agreements tend to be more likely to break down and for the conflict to recur. That peace will tend to break down because the parties themselves aren't actually on board. The stakeholders haven't really fully bought into the peace and only signed the paper or came to an initial agreement because the third parties were actually pushing them to do so. And sometimes it might actually be, from even a humanitarian standpoint, a better idea for the international community to wait, to allow the protagonists, those that were actually fighting, to reach a more natural point in the fighting for them to be able to get to the bargaining table. The third party can't really set a really narrow window of, say, we'll be involved in helping to bring about a settlement within the next year or two. That's too short. The third party is going to need to commit itself to being involved 5, 10, 15, 20 years as a guarantor of any agreement that is actually reached. In the last year or so, with the relative success of the surge, I think the U.S. has finally got to that point where it can actually think about the Taliban as a negotiating partner where the Taliban might actually want to get to a peace settlement. The U.S. needs, and the NATO allies, need to basically back off a little bit and allow the peace process to go forward while ensuring as much security as they possibly can. Use NATO to end Gaddafi's rule, but then to maybe bring in another party, a true third party that actually hasn't been part of the fighting. And that party, I think, will be more credible at the bargaining table to actually allow the Libyans to reach an agreement that's going to last 5, 10, 20, hopefully however many years into the future. I think the key there is to maybe put more leverage on the Palestinians to get Hamas to renounce terrorism, to renounce violence, as well as to accept Israel's right to exist. Then I think we get a stronger unity government amongst the Palestinians that can actually then sit down at the negotiating table with Israel. And then we can start worrying about what the future actually looks like and what's going to happen with the settlements and what's going to happen with refugees and the right of return.
The preceding program is copyrighted by Emory University.